All right, welcome to the Spoiler Kings movie review. My name is Tank Kramer. I am with Will Peppa MD. How you doing, man?
Yo,
Hey,
what's up?
it looks like Will has shared the stream.
It's peanut butter zombie time.
Yep. Yeah. Cool. So man, we got another double feature. So if you're watching live, it's gonna be a double feature. We're talking 2 movies. If you're watching on replay, we're gonna do one, and then another video is gonna be the other review. But we're going to start off with a new kind of thing that we're doing. We're going to start doing some classic reviews of the classic movies. And then we're going to ask the question, does it hold up? And we're going to see if these classic movies hold up. And it kind of works out perfectly because the new Ghostbusters that we're going to review on Monday is coming out, the Ghostbusters Afterlife. So we figured let's review Ghostbusters from 1984, the original OG Ghostbusters, starring Dan Aykroyd, Harold Ramis, Bill Murray, of course, Sigourney Weaver, Rick Moranis. I mean, it was an awesome cast back then. So, who else? Eddie Hudson. I forgot about Eddie Hudson. So,
yep.
Yeah, super cool cast, man. So we're not gonna do any trailers. We're just gonna kind of get into it, and we're not really gonna talk about what's good or bad. We're just gonna talk about things about the movie. Things that we're gonna compare to today, other things, story, stuff like that. So what do you want to talk about first about Ghostbusters, the 1984 version?
Okay, so being as this is a 1984 movie, when I think of the 80s, right, I think of colorful neon. I think of like the hairstyles. I think of the old school way of how we were. Yeah, as a society, right? So especially with the whole neon thing and on the color scheme, when I look at older movies like this, I'm looking for that, right? I'm looking for bright colors. I'm looking for those attention grabbers and cool technology. As in the past, as we are today, we're always striving for like new, crazy devices that do the impossible. So in this movie, right, we get introduced to kind of ghost hunting. Woo! So ghost hunting, and they have these I don't know what you call them, like cannons, guns, like vacuums, if you will. They're like
the proton packs.
The proton packs. There you go. So the proton packs use nuclear energy to like suck in these extraterrestrials, and so by looking at when they use them, right, I see a nice cool like zap and whatnot, and it just makes me think, oh, happy Wednesday, happy hump day.
Happy Wednesday.
It makes me think like, wow, if this were to be released today, right? I know we have better technology. I know we have better everything, right? But if you were to put out the same product today with maybe updated stuff, how would it do? And from the CGI, if you will, I don't know if it was computer generated. Yeah, it was computer generated.
Yeah, it had to have been.
It's just very old computer generation. Yeah, right. Yeah. Stunt doubles, still shots with like action figures. I know they do that a lot. They do the strings. Yeah. I see that like a high schooler could have done this today using like Premiere Pro or something.
Yeah. That just explains how much has movie making technology evolved from the 80s to now. It's like like a high schooler can do better CGI than what was made back then.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
And so, I know I'm comparing apples, oranges, but when I look at a movie like this, right, and then the scene with the hotel and you're looking up and you see like crazy, like supernaturalness and whatever, I think of, I think of other movies that have kind of done something similar. And so, I don't know. I feel like other movies can do CGI better, even at this time. So when did Star Wars first come out? Star Wars
78, 79, I believe.
So even
was the first one?
Yeah, for a 79 movie, I feel like even Star Wars did better than what this movie portrayed with its technology, with its visuals, except for some of the cool ghosts. The ghosts themselves look pretty darn cool in this movie, even today.
Cool. I think Slimer, after rewatching it, Slimer was still pretty cool looking.
He was. He was. Yeah. I agree. But looking at like what's his name? The Puff Man?
The Stay Puft.
The Stay Puff. Yeah. I don't know, man. I wasn't with it. I wasn't with it.
Yeah, that's funny because like the Stay Puft was part real, real kind of stuff, which is kind of funny that they went with practical like stuff. Let me see if I can find it real quick. But yeah, they did like a small version kind of thing. So that's there's one of the people, and then there's obviously they didn't do it for everything because there's a part where his face gets like disintegrated, and it looks like they did the same thing there, but like he's climbing the building and stuff like that. So obviously, it was a combination of small scale and the CGI, but you can definitely tell the difference when it was one and the other. Because if it was CGI, it had a weird outline. The big one was the dogs for me.
Yeah.
When he busts through the door and it just looks so weird, and then it's running and it just doesn't look natural. It just looks very weird with that. But the one thing I do give Ghostbusters, I believe they didn't put a lot of money into it because they didn't think it was going to be too big of a film.
Oh, that's interesting.
I could be wrong.
I think it's showing the budget was for 30 million, and it's for back then. It's kind of a lot of money, but movies nowadays be going to like the 90 million or something. So at the box office, they did pretty well. They like tripled their money? No, even more. 30 million.
Dude, I think, it was 30 million budget, and the box office was 295 million.
Wow.
So yeah. I mean, remember also these guys, Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, they weren't what they are now, and they're legends. You know what I mean? Ernie Hudson, same thing. All these people are legendary actors. Back then, they were kind of really starting to barely get in the game, so they didn't have the kind of pool that I'm sure that they have now.
Right.
So. But I could have swore I think they whatever company, they didn't want to put too much money into it because they didn't think it was gonna do too well. And even like here think about this, Eddie Murphy was gonna be in this movie, and he turned it down because he went to go film Beverly Hill Cop.
Oh,
so even Eddie Murphy thought, he's like, oh, it looks like a cool film, but I'm gonna go do this because it looks like it's gonna do better. And obviously, I mean, Beverly Hills Cop is still an awesome classic, but it's nowhere near as much love Ghostbusters gets. But, yeah.
True.
Yeah. So I think they were confined with certain things for sure. I felt like. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what it was. Is they didn't get a lot of money put into it yet.
Yeah, I can see that, but I kind of was okay with it, even though it was lower on the budget. Like for what they did do, I was content. I wouldn't say I was ecstatic or happy, but like to see that today, right? And you can't see it in 4K because it's an old movie. But like to see what I did see visually, I was like, oh, okay. It did what they could. And then story wise, one thing that I look at story wise, as far as new movies today, I always look at character progression or character development or some kind of like, how do our main protagonists, how do they look in the beginning of a movie? And then how do they look at the end of a movie? Usually they go through some kind of transformation. And in this one, I don't see that. I don't see that at all for any of them. So like, for example, right, a little bit of Bill Murray's character, Dr. Peter, what's his name? Venkman? Yeah. He's just like his character. He's real funny. He's kind of douchey. He's kind of like he's like the comedy relief a little bit, right? But he's real douchey. Like, and at the end of the movie, I still think he's douchey. I just think that he just does a better job now. Now he has, more of a purpose. Like the only thing that the end of the movie really gives me was like, oh, now that these guys, have been using science for so long and they've been using it to more scheme and whatnot and hustle for money, now they're finally, using it for the good of mankind. As it was the dean that was talking about.
In the beginning of the movie when he first, I forgot what his school was, like New York university or whatever school they were
I
in the
forgot.
beginning. Yeah.
Well, it says Harold. No, never mind. I don't know. University. Yeah, some university in New York City.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man.
Columbia, it was Columbia University. There we go. Columbia University.
Even like Ernie Hudson's character, one guy plays the one that plays Winston. Like he comes in mid movie, right? And because they needed they needed help because the other guy, Tully, he was just doing his own thing or whatever. He what was he doing?
Well, they hired him. Tully was the neighbor. That was
he's a neighbor. Never mind. Okay.
Yeah, he was the neighbor. He was which is Rick Moranis's character. He was he was one of the beasts. You know, he was the keymaster. If
yeah.
He was the
along
keymaster.
With Sigourney, and Sigourney Weaver was also a keymaster. No, right? She was
the gatekeeper.
Gatekeeper.
So very sexual innuendo with the keymaster and the gatekeeper. So you know, and there's a part of the film where Bill Murray's character wants to go on a date with her, and he opens the door and she's all like in this a flaily like a dress kind of thing. Her hair's all puffed out and she's all like horny and so and but see that was I was like all right, he's a douche, but he's not like a creep, you know what I mean? Like he's a so it was like he had a chance, but he's like no so he drugged her up, which I guess is still bad, but he kind of drugged her up for her own safety. So I guess it's okay. But yeah. So I mean, but I do agree. It's like no one really changed too much besides. I think the person that changed was supposed to be like the world around it. It was like, no one believes in ghosts. Ghosts are fake. Like they're asking where's Elvis, and then I think the world changes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like where they weren't relevant, where they were like jokes in their college that they worked for, and now they're big shots,
right?
Or at least at the end of this film, in the first one, they're big shots, like the city loves them and the mayor loves them and all that stuff. But yeah.
So, after they get taken out of jail or whatever, right? Like everyone's all cheering for them. Yeah. So another thing that kind of has me conflicted. Before was. Hold on.
So real quick, what you think about that? So I'm looking at the stuff that said Ghostbusters was the first comedy to employ expensive special effects. And Columbia Pictures was concerned that its relatively high 25 to 30 million budget had little faith in the box office potential. So I guess that was considered expensive special effects at the time. And I guess that $30 million was a high budget. So I take that back. I was wrong. That's a decent amount of money back in the early 80s.
Yeah, back then it was a lot. Today's budget of 30 million seems like barely anything. It's like a fundraiser for some of these executives. So
30 million. You can. That's an indie movie now.
Yeah, I swear.
It's an indie. Yeah.
So the thing that has me conflicted is like, I don't know have you ever been to New York?
No, I have not.
I have not either. But from what I've heard, right, and friends that I have that are from there, and just the internet in general has kind of taught me what New York is about. And now I know I'm saying that and I'm talking out of my ass, right? I've never been there, so I can't speak on it. But there's a certain element that the city of New York City brings, and where it's almost like its own character. They have their own style. They have their own way of they dress, talk, if you will, even back then they had that. They had their own way of how they did things over there, and just I feel like I didn't get that expressed too much. They showed the city, they showed nice cinematography of the city, and then like showing the ground breaking under them when they almost like die from when they're about to enter the hotel. Was it a hotel, right?
No, it was like a she lived in a penthouse.
It was the high-rise building, right? Just I know it was tall.
I think it was like 20 something floors.
Okay.
Because I remember like he said like let me know when I get to 20 so I can throw up. So Because he asked him, he goes, "Oh, what floor are we on?" He goes, "Somewhere in the teens." He goes, "All right, let me know when we get to 20 so I can throw up."
Yeah.
But yeah.
That I feel like that's one thing that does hold up today is those little comments that they be making, like
yes.
those, I don't know what you call them, right? But like the
Like
little
one-liners.
things, one-liners. That's a good way. Yeah. The one-liners from the 80s are just like they're just so good. Like you don't have to get the joke. You don't have to dig so deep for a joke when it comes to the one-liners from the 80s, but they make you laugh anyways. So like that's one of the lines that kind of stuck out to me.
This movie is like this baked in one-liners, and there's one-liners that are like forever are gonna live in forever just with this movie. We got Armando said Married Children has great one-liners. Yeah. I think that's the time, like in the 80s into the 90s, like that was kind of the thing. Yeah, Married with Children. Yeah. But like one like like this one is like, I remember I was like some of the best lines is like, "Don't cross the streams." People still say that, dude. 30 something years later, people are still "Don't cross the streams." And I'm sure people say that like younger generation, like, because we're old men now, but like, like kids, and they have no idea where that's from. You know what I mean? It's like, but then also like one of my favorite lines still to this day after watching it, I was like, oh, that's a great line is where Winston tells the group after, they get blasted on the roof, where Winston's like, he goes, "Ray, if somebody asks if you're a god, say yes." I was like, that's hilarious. It's still, it's everything. That whole last scene of them on the roof is one of the best scenes. Like, and for me, like in movie, it's just the funniness and everything. When Stay Puft comes out, he goes, "He's a sailor. He likes to have fun. He like get him laid, and he's good." So it's like just stuff like that. Where they're like, "Oh, see you on the other side, Ray." It's like. Just I don't know that the last 15 to 20 minutes is just like that's what makes the movie great, is just that big final thing, and I think that's what people remember with it, because I think the beginning of the movie was really cool, where you're like, is it a ghost, is it not, the whole library thing where it's spooky, and then it builds up into something that I don't know if I don't know if people knew what to expect, But even when when Vakeman walks into the apartment for the first time, and he has this stupid like sucker, like the stick where he just squeezes the little thing, and I don't even know what that does. And like he opens the piano and just goes ding 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 with the two piano keys, and he goes, "Oh, they hate this. It annoys them." And I'm like, but that's like, and he's talking crap to the ghost, and I'm like, did these newer ghost shows, like Paranormal Activities and all these like ghost hunting shows, was like, did they get their information from like Ghostbusters? They're like trying to aggravate the ghosts.
Yeah.
So
that's funny.
But yeah, I don't know. It's just still some of the best one-liners, some of the best scenes, especially from the 80s movie came out during that. But what's up?
I was gonna ask you one last thing before we go to our main question of the day, which is as like our final boss lady, right? Gozer, supposed to be like a demigod, right? Do you think Gozer held up as a strong antagonist at the end? You think they could have done better? You think they could have went with a different? Because I think Gozer's a guy, and they even mentioned like, oh, he could take on whatever shape he wants or whatever, or something like that.
Yeah. Well, it's a girl at the end, and they were surprised it was a female,
because Gozer is a real like mythology. I don't know if you know that. It's a real demigod or whatever, and I think it's supposed to be a guy. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's a shapeshifter. It's a shapeshifter. So, I guess
it is shapeshifter.
It's a guy. I don't know, but it's like it's a god of destruction, which is kind of cool. Gozer, the Gozerian.
Yeah, that's right.
And I didn't even have to look that up. Stupid shit I remember. Yeah. Zool too. Zool's another demigod. That it was super cool. That they took like stuff like that. But they couldn't. Zool was like, I remember in school, doing a research about the movie. But Zool was like a servant or worshipped Gozer, like in the myth. So like they it's like, I don't know if they found something cool and like, oh, let's do this, and they kind of went a little silly with it with the whole gatekeeper and
I think so.
and the Keymaster, you know, stuff like that. But yeah,
But you think Gozer holds up as a good villain?
I don't know. I don't know because Gozer is just like they kind of flip it where it's Gozer is the badass, but the Gozer only brings the traveler, quote unquote, and the traveler is what destroys the world, you know? So you know, in that case, like Gozer used whatever thing they had in their mind to destroy them, which is kind of cool. I'm like, I get it. And then that was another best scene where, you know, everyone's like, you know, don't think about anything, you haven't blink, you know.
What's his name? Dan Aykroyd.
Ray. Yeah, Ray winds up backing up. He goes, "Oh, I thought about the thing from my childhood that was harmless," you know, and then it's the Stay Puffed. So it's kind of a weird combination. I don't know. It was just that was the ultimate. I think it was just the ultimate ghost because I think for me, like during the whole film, all the ghosts were all the antagonist of it all. You know, Gozer was just the final, the big one at the end because it didn't really lead up to it that much until like later on in the film. It was just like them fighting ghosts, and that was the biggest ghost.
I don't know. I feel like they could have been bigger. I feel like, you know, as a final boss, when you play video games, I know you mentioned there was a video game for this, right? Ghostbusters. I'm always expecting like something, you know, extraordinary that like blows me away for the final boss. Something that's big in size, big in power, big in, you know, I don't know. I feel like they could have done something else with Gozer, but that's just me.
Yeah, I didn't mind. I mean, I think they definitely blew a lot of the budget. If that was like big, if they were spending a lot of money on special effects, you know, a lot of the special effects was like at the end, you know, with a lot of the laser beams and this and that. But I didn't mind it too much. I think it went well with everything. Where it was just like they never took anything too serious, you know. Especially like Venkman, you know, with Bill Murray's character was just everything was like a joke, you know. Like even at the end, you know, where he might die, he's like, "Oh, see you on the other side." It was like what? So that was kind of like the whole thing. It was like it never took serious. If we ever get into the sequel, Ghostbusters 2. I think they fix a lot of that issues. You know, they definitely make the city a bigger part of the story. Obviously with what they do with Statue of Liberty in the second one, but I feel like they have a bad guy and they stick to that bad guy, you know, throughout the whole movie. This one, it's kind of just like just the ghosts are the bad guy, you know, and it was just kind of like, but. Yeah, I mean, they could have gone bigger. I didn't mind it too much. It was kind of a cool, you know, like punk rock kind of looking chick with the short hair and then the spandex and shooting laser beams out of her fingers and doing crazy flips in stilettos and stuff. So it was cool. It was fun. I think that was the thing. It was fun. This movie was meant to be fun, and I think that bad guy was here's this destroyer, and she's wearing stilettos. You know, and it's got like crazy short spiky hair. So I think it fit the movie for me. It fit the movie.
Okay.
Yeah. But you want to get into the question of this?
Yes.
Does
question of the day.
Ghostbusters? Yeah. So does Ghostbusters from 1984 still hold up? What do you think?
In my opinion, I was kind of on the fence. I'm kind of torn in between whether it is or not. I want to say it does hold up. And here's why it holds up. It holds up because the comedy really kept this movie going. Like for a supernatural movie, you know, I'm always all about the jump scares and the, you know, about the, you know, the ghosts themselves and whatnot. And this one, it made it so that you don't focus on just the ghosts. You focus on the characters and what they're going through, even though there's no like in my opinion, there's no like mission to this movie. Like it's just everything is just without a reason. It's like, oh yeah, these guys they do science and they're scientists and blah blah blah. So I want to say it does hold up only for the fact that it was a super funny movie. and it had some of my favorite characters in it. So Sigourney Weaver is just Bay. I've been in love with her since watching Aliens, and
Oh
then
yeah.
any movie she does, I'm just Google Gaga over here. So the fact that they had great cast, funny movie, and I don't know. Just based off that, I think it holds up. So today,
Yeah.
you can get
Yeah.
those one-liners, and they still, like how you said, crossing streams. The other day, what was it? And now it's making more sense to me. My guy is like, hey man, I stream playing this game. Like I hear that you stream. You wanna cross streams? And it's just now hitting me. He probably was mentioning the liner from here, but yeah. So I do think it holds up. What about you?
Yeah. So for me, this 100% holds up. I remember watching this movie so much as a kid growing up. I mean, dude, so much. So many jokes went over my head. This is a very, very adult jokes are in it. So watching it as an adult, through teenager, early adulthood, and now still like just watching this today, I'm like, oh man, there's some dirty, dirty jokes in here, and I forget, and I'm like, damn, I'm like, my parents let me watch this, it's like there's some dirty jokes in here, like, and it just everything about it just holds up, the graphics are definitely dated, but if they were to just redo it like George Lucas does with Star Wars and throws more CGI over and over and over into the movies, definitely you can make the dog thing creatures look better and some of the green screeny stuff look better, but overall, I mean, like, Bill Murray was amazing, Harold Ramis, Dan Aykroyd, Sigourney Weaver, even Rick Moranis as a goofy little neighbor guy. It's super annoying, just like all of that is it's so funny, and it works perfectly. I never looked at this as a like a supernatural scary movie. It's just like a comedy with ghosts, you know what I mean? And
Okay.
it for me, that's what it always was, and that's what works best for it, where it's always funny. Some of the little Muppets that they use were definitely pretty awesome, but the CGI is dated, obviously, from the 80s. The music definitely fits the time period, but it overall is just it's a great movie, and it would always it's a classic for sure. I think I saw on Rotten Tomatoes it's like 97%. Let's see, I think it's at 97%.
Is that critics?
97% critics, and
yeah.
which is really, audience is at 88%, which is kind of weird. I feel like that might be a lot of the newer generation like
Probably
finding out about it, and they're like, oh. But even today, it doesn't do anything where you're like, oh, maybe he should not have said that. Like, that won't fly in today's world. Yeah, Venkman was a little douchey, but he wasn't like too much where you're like, oh, you can't say that today.
Right.
At least I don't think there was nothing major like that happen. But yeah,
No.
It holds up, man. Whenever it's on TV, it's not on TV that much anymore. But whenever it is, I wind up watching it. This one and the sequel.
Yeah.
The video game was super cool too. Like I always tell people, if you're a Ghostbusters fan, play the video game that came out like early, I want to say like 2009, maybe 8. I can't think of it. But it's a sequel. It's a sequel where you are hired as a Ghostbuster, and they get all the voices. The game's written by Harold Ramis, so like it's a legit sequel, and it made me so happy playing it. Where it's a first person like shooter, so you're the Ghostbuster that they just hired, and it's this whole story of you being trained as a Ghostbuster, and great story, super short game, not too big, not too long, good graphics, for a video game, but fun game, super fun game, man. I might stream it on Twitch just because it is a really great game.
Which system did it come out on? You said 2009 or 2005? You said.
I want to say, I think I played it on my Xbox or my Xbox 360. I think I played it on my Xbox 360. So was that 360 is like Xbox 360, PS3?
Okay.
That time.
Okay. Yep.
But yeah, yeah. Let me see. Ghostbusters, the video game. It came out in 2009. Boom, look at that. PS4, Wii, PlayStation 2, PlayStation Portable.
PS4.
Yeah, so I think I might have played it on my So super fun game. I recommend playing that. So all the original voices too, which is awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis wrote the script for the video game. So you can't get much than a sequel than having those guys write, that wrote in 1 and 2 and then wrote the video game. It's good. So I was in 7 heaven.
Is it me or is Dan Aykroyd always in a New York movie or something related to New York?
All the time.
Is he from New York? I swear he probably is.
Probably. He might be Canadian. If not, he's Canadian. He's Canadian.
He's Canadian.
Yeah. You could definitely tell because there's a few parts in this one where he says like, he's like, Vakeman, I'm sorry, but he doesn't. He goes, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. Like so he had his Canadian accent kind of leak through a little bit. But
By the way, you did that a little bit too well. Do you have any Canadian like relatives or something?
Actually, I did the my girlfriend for one of her projects had to research family trees, and I found out that some family on my mom's side are like Swedish bloodline that were in Canada. So, oh yeah, not too long ago.
I'm really intrigued
my grandfather's
Canadian accent.
Yeah, I mean Canadian accent's not too hard. You just give it that weird that like, oh sorry there, how you doing there?
Sorry, I can't do it. I can't do it. I can do other accents, but I can't do a Canadian one.
Canadian.
All I do is I just add like how you doing, or whatever they they always add that in there. I love it.
Yeah. You all want to go to Tim Hortons?
I swear you did really well. You should do like a Canadian thing one day. Well, anyways, cool.
But yeah, man. Yeah. So recommend going watching it. It's gonna tie in with the new one coming out, Ghostbusters Afterlife, which we are going to talk about on Monday, the weekend after it's released. I'm excited. I got my tickets already. I'm going to see it Friday night. Oh, I can't wait. Everyone that saw it said it's very throwback. So I'm enjoying that. Directed by the son of the first director, Ivan Reitman. So now you got the son getting his hands in it. So I'm excited. It's gonna be fun. So we're gonna talk about that on Monday. See where that goes. But cool. Anything else, man? You want to add?
Nah, I can't wait for that new one. That's for sure. That kid from Stranger Things is gonna be in there. He's like a hot actor right now. So hopefully he does one.
Paul Rudd.
Oh yeah, Paul Rudd. That's nuts.
Paul Rudd.
He's taking a break for the MCU to be here. That's cool.
To be a Ghostbuster. So yeah, so I'm excited. Poor Harold Ramis, obviously, with him passing away, he's not going to be in it, but hopefully it's a good homage to his character, Egon Spangler. So and I think it's going to be pretty good. It's going to be fun. At the very least, it's going to be super fun. So cool. So that's it for our classic movie review of Ghostbusters from 1984. So if you're watching live, stay tuned. We're gonna talk about another movie. And if you're watching on replay, thank you for checking us out. Make sure you hit that sub button and follow us. And let us know what you thought about Ghostbusters. You never seen it before? You're gonna just see it, or are you like me? Somebody who grew up on that kind of movie. So let us know down in the comments. But that is it for this episode. But yeah, thank you guys, and we'll see you guys later.
Deuces.